Coming up today, stocks finished the week higher. Will tariffs knock the market over? Bitcoin sitting just below 100,000. Tesla on the march higher again. And what's in store for my members? It's been another great week, guys. Let's go. And welcome back, everybody, to the Daily Market Review on a pretty solid week for Wall Street. S&P 500 quickly approaching the 6,000 mark again, with a splash of green across the board. Still quite a lot of dispersion in this market. There's the sector performance for today. Up the front, small caps, leading the charge with financials and discretionary, along with industrials. These sectors having done really well since the election. Underperforming today, though, utilities, and doing the worst since the election, healthcare stocks, with a wide spread in between. And to switching over to the 5-day sector performance, all sectors finishing the week in the green, once again led by small caps and a bit of a bounce back there in REITs this week, along with materials. Two other weak sectors since the election, but with utilities and industrials still up the top of the pack as well. And just looking at sector breadth, pretty much green across the board, all except consumer staples. Pretty much every other sector, the majority of stocks are all tracking above their moving averages, which is a good sign of market breadth and a healthy bull market. As this bull market has been broadening out. Last year, it was really the tale of mega cap tech. But this year, we're seeing the bull market broaden out, and now we've got small caps and other sectors like industrials. Really strong of late. And there's a look at the Dow Jones Industrial, having another solid day. Just below all-time highs. Once again, heavy volumes coming into this market, which we typically don't see on green candles near the highs. It's typically the red candles. Down days where we see most of the volume. But once again, there's that broadening. Mid-caps doing a lot better than the S&P 500 today. It was only up 30 basis points. Mid-cap sitting at all-time highs. And another strong day for the Russell 2000 small caps, up 1.85%, quickly approaching this big key resistance zone of its all-time highs as well. And so that's kind of been the theme of the market this last couple of months. Seen mega cap tech kind of lag, take a bit of a back seat, and it's really these early stage small cap growth names like SoundHound AI, up another 18% today. And before I share with you all the hottest stocks in the market today, I just want to quickly thank everybody who's joined my new swing trading alert service and going to follow my real money trading account. As part of my latest $1 million challenge, I've actually had a much larger response than what I thought, with already almost half of all available spots being taken, as I do have a hard limit of 300 members for this service. So if you're interested in following my new swing trading account, then click the link below this video and head on over to my website, clickcapital.io, and jump on board while you can, because it's highly likely this is going to sell out in the coming days, and I will close it down to new subscribers much earlier than I thought. And stick with me today, because later on in this video, I'll talk about something special I've got planned for members. Once I hit my outline objectives, and I'm sure you'll find that interesting. But just jumping back into the charts, like I've been saying, it's incredible some of the moves we're getting out there. Not to mention the volumes as well coming into these small hot stocks. And so as a small cap bull, this is exactly what I've been looking for. Big money coming into this sector, and this monster rotation that we've been seeing that's kind of been accelerated ever since the election. With AI still hot, there's C3 AI ripping up again today. Same with Big Bear, another small AI stock. And the stock NVDA just invested in as part of their own portfolio. Applied Digital also pushing up again and close to breaking out of this key resistance zone, while the big fella itself takes a bit of a breather here after its earnings on Wednesday night. Market's still a little undecided. Big spinning doji, pulled back a little bit here again today. Market's still trying to figure out what to make of this earnings. In my opinion, it was another blowout, and they literally said they've sold every Blackwell GPU chip they can possibly make going out to 2026. I mean, how much more bullish than that can you get? Also helping the sector today, continued bounce in Supermicro Computer, actually reclaiming its 50-day VWAP. Massive dead cat bounce as the market was full of uncertainty. Rumors of potential delisting. They look set to comply with exchange requirements. However, I think it's still too early to say that they're definitely out of the woods just yet. And something interesting that caught my eye today, just looking back at Supermicro here, going back to the start of the year when they ripped up like hot, what does that chart pattern remind you of? This big bearish engulfing candle here, after the stock went absolutely ballistic for a couple of months. Some of you can probably already guess, but stick with me later today, because I'll dive into that stock as well, along with the latest developments there. And once again, quantum computing, just catching a bid today. D-Wave Quantum, up 48%, still ripping after hours as I speak. Just remarkable, the volumes coming into these smaller stocks. Company called Quantum Computing, QUBT, up another 28% today. Nuclear still going for a run. SMR, up 9%. Nano-nuclear energy, 14%. Space stocks still ripping to the moon. Rocket Lab having broken out of this key resistance zone, and others in the space as well. Redwire pushing up 12%. And the stock I'm long in the space, Intuitive Machines. I only got in a couple of months ago. It's already almost a double for me. Simply incredible. And the Trump trade is still working. Looking at some key assets. Easy to guess where the election was, looking at the chart of regional banks, 13% the day after, just broke out of that high today, looking pretty good here. Others still marching higher as well, like the prison stocks, Geo Group, holding on to its strong move. Same with Core Civic, nice bit of volume there. And the halo effects from this election are so far and wide-reaching I'm getting other stocks popping up on my radar as well. Since we've got RFK heading up the health department, he's talked about removing fluoride from the water. And so who could that potentially benefit? Maybe dentists. With some dental equipment suppliers like Henry Sheen appearing to catch a bit of late. And his threats to the food industry to move nasty chemicals and additives has got some more health conscious food stocks like this one here, Natural Grocers, having a strong rip not only after the election, but on the back of pretty hot earnings as well. Market cap $1 billion and could indeed have a strong tailwind. Just like other similar companies, The Honest Company, they specialize in non-toxic products for babies. Look at this move and rip. And one I've had on my watch list, and I actually enjoyed eating that last time I was in America, Sweetgreen, having a nice multi-month breakout there today. They're a fast food chain with a focus on more healthy products. And so the question now for the market is this pro-business admin whose goal is to fully unlock America's business to its full potential, decrease regulations, lower tax rates. Is the benefits from that going to outweigh the threats from tariffs? I think at the very least, the market could get nervous and have a bit of a volatility episode going into that announcement. But whether it completely knocks the ball over, I think is another thing. There's more to this bull market than just the threat of tariffs. And it's interesting because one of the sectors one would think would be the hardest hit, retail shares, have indeed just broken out of this months-long consolidation today on pretty strong volume as well, ahead of what's likely to be a pretty good holiday spending period. Retail sector up 2.7% today, one of the best performing sectors along with regional banks. But we've got Bank of America saying tech stocks are reaching a key threshold that could spell the end of US exceptionalism. They're watching how the tech-heavy NASDAQ is trading against the S&P 500. They say a decline in the ratio between the two indices could signal the end of the US exceptionalism trade, which I think is a pretty shallow argument because again, I think there's more to US exceptionalism than just a stretched technical chart. Because back here, the tech stocks were not printing money nowhere near as much as what they are now, nor did they dominate the world like they do now. When I first got into finance back in the early 2000s, America and Europe were pretty much equals in terms of size of GDP, markets, financial media's attention, what traders and investors were looking at. Now Europe's pretty much an afterthought, and I've actually traded on a number of European exchanges. Nothing like America. Bid-ask spreads are so wide, they've got financial transaction taxes, way less liquidity, way harder to access market data, so on and so forth. Capital markets don't even quite hold a candle to the monster US markets nowadays. And that's largely thanks to tech and these big companies who I don't think are going to go away anytime soon, nor will their grips on the market that they operate in, and just the huge network effects they can have. They can pretty much just create any product or service, get in there and dominate. However, no doubt what's been the biggest beneficiary ever since the election, Bitcoin. Still not quite at $100,000 per coin. With this article on Barron's today, pointing to a pro-crypto administration, as well as heavy buying from MicroStrategy, the largest holder of the token, as a key driver behind the latest move, causing a global pylon. And there's a look at the daily chart on Bitcoin, and just going down to a 5-minute chart, 99,800 a coin. We still didn't officially hit 100,000 just yet, but just looking at this daily chart and that momentum and the volume seems almost inevitable that it's going to go at 100,000. And sometimes when assets hit these big psychological levels, they can pull back and dump. I wouldn't be surprised to see a big red candle on Bitcoin at some point after this latest pump and honeymoon period of the election wears off. And just like I pointed to that chart on Super Microcomputer and how similar it looks to MicroStrategy here. Massive pump over a few couple of months, then this monster bearish engulfing candle, which like I said, looks like maybe some big hedge funds put on a big monster pair trade because they had a great opportunity when it gapped up yesterday. And when you like these monster hedge funds, whom I think they do collude together with pretty much unlimited resources, they can cause a candle like this by just simply shorting billions and billions of dollars worth of stock. There's so much liquidity there. Like I said, it was the most traded stock on the market yesterday, even greater than the S&P 500 ETF. So they can put on massive size, and at the same time, Bitcoin actually went up. So they could potentially be long Bitcoin, short MicroStrategy, because if you look at the spread between the two, it's gotten pretty cheap this last couple of months. And so some big funds may be betting or even actually trying to force that big premium in MicroStrategy to disappear, since the market's currently valuing them over $3 for every dollar of Bitcoin they hold. Remember, their underlying business is tiny, makes less than $500 million a year, actually loses money. They've got $4 billion in debt, and MicroStrategy still has a market cap just under $100 billion, even though they only own about $32 billion of Bitcoin. And so I don't want to keep talking about this guy. However, he's all over the financial news. It's the most traded stock in the market, which is actually quite often associated with tops. So it's kind of hard to ignore, and I can just imagine how many innocent small retail traders are getting sucked into this, especially when Saylor comes out today and says every Bitcoin you don't buy today is going to cost you $13 million in the future. And I can just imagine how many traders new to the game hear this and then are just piling in to his stock or potentially Bitcoin with leverage. And don't get me wrong, got nothing wrong with riding Bitcoin. I actually own it a little bit myself. Not a huge percentage of my net worth, so I've been as well riding this Bitcoin trend, and I believe in blockchain technology. However, I'm not touching MicroStrategy because in my opinion, I think it's going to crash again, just like it did after his last pump in the late 90s. And so I'm just trying to share with you guys to be careful of this, for like I said, some of those who might be a bit vulnerable to being pulled into it. And so we actually heard him on CNBC today, and I'll just play this clip for you guys, and I'll let you be the judge of it.
You know, over the last 2 weeks, Andrew, we've generated $5.4 billion in BTC gains. We're making $500 million a day. I'm staring at my screen and we're selling dollar bills for $3, sometimes a million times a minute. And so it's not impossible. I mean, we may very well be the most profitable company in the United States, growing the fastest right now, because there's not many companies that are making $500 million a day doing what they're doing. If you don't like Bitcoin, you don't want any piece of it. But if you like Bitcoin, then this is a monster for you.
So just the way he talks, making $500 million a day, saying he's the most profitable company in the US. And if he's right, Bitcoin's going to $13 million a coin. That'll make him the richest man in the world. Guy with a track record of fraud, tax evasion. Is this who we want to see as the richest man in the world? Should Warren Buffett start copying his strategy? It's an infinite money loop, cornering this market. Because we're already seeing copycats popping up. We've got small biotech companies starting to do the same, buying Bitcoin. And that to me is a strong sign of a bubble. When companies like this start piling on as well. And so I know a lot of people out there think about it differently than me, and that's fine. We're not going to all share the same opinion on every single topic. We can have an intellectual conversation about it. However, if you actually read the original Bitcoin paper by Satoshi that he wrote in 2009, and let me just zoom in here a bit for you guys. Just reading the abstract, a purely peer-to-peer version of electronic cash would allow online payments to be sent directly from one party to another without going through a financial institution. And so that's what Satoshi envisioned with Bitcoin, decentralized form of money for payment to get away from fiat. It's a great argument. There's a lot of substance to it. But what Bitcoin's become today is unlike anything he envisioned. Nowhere did he mention it should be hodled. Nowhere did he mention it should be tried to be cornered by the like of Michael Saylor. Because in my opinion, he's perverted Bitcoin and its original purpose. So like I said, I believe in blockchain technology, decentralization, but this whole pile onto Bitcoin, cornering the market, simply because it's a digitally finite asset and it's possible to do. Like I said, if you read this paper, it goes against its very original purpose. And it may have just got the kiss of death as well. From the guy that rarely misses, Jim Kramer, who just said, all I can tell you is own Bitcoin. That's a winner. And that's the thing with Kramer, is his content formula is to pretty much just bang on about what's working at this moment. And it's kind of similar to the front cover indicator, the magazine indicator, in which you see magazines talk about something in so much certainty. It's actually one of the best contrarian signals because it indicates kind of peak sentiment. And so when you see Kramer come out with these certainty words, it could too be another indicator. So like I said before, this isn't Saylor's first rodeo. He did the same thing back in the 90s. Got onto a hot pump, a hot industry, was actually cooking his books, but it worked so well. You look at MicroStrategy stock price in 99, went from $7 a share, managed to pump it up all the way above $100 into 2000, all the way to its final blow off top, $330 a share, before the market figured out he was running a fraud charged by the SEC. The whole thing come crumbling down. And here we are again today, and a lot of people out there are saying this time's different. In fact, some of the comments I get on my videos are saying literally just that. This time is different. And I love all the technical explanations why it is. And like I said, in my opinion, it's an unsustainable rise once again, based on an unsustainable formula. And I'm quite confident MicroStrategy is going to crash 90% again over the coming year or two. Happy to eat my words if I'm wrong. I just don't think I am. And so to any new traders out there, just be very careful and buy in hot air, because MicroStrategy may not always have a market cap of 100 billion. But like I said, nobody knows how crazy it can get and when the top will actually happen. Could very well hit $1,000 a share this time, because it is a really well orchestrated pump that's currently working for him, whilst he's offloaded 70 million shares on the market this year. So good luck to all those that are long. And just moving on to a company that actually creates innovative products. One I'm actually a long-term believer and shareholder, Tesla. Once again, trading on firm footing ever since its earnings. It's just impressed the market, shaken off the Chinese threat, shaken off potentially losing the electric vehicle tax credit, $7,500, and Elon Musk's big bet on who's going to be the next president has already paid off in spades. And there's a look at the daily chart, up almost 4% today, and just going out to a weekly chart, pushing up against this big resistance zone, Actually, it's all-time highs that it made back in November 21. After we had a string of earning misses, came in with a really good earnings beat, and we've got the big catalysts of Robotaxi and then Optimus Bot. The pipeline for Tesla looks good for years and years ahead, not to mention their soaring battery business. Of course, it's not cheap looking at multiples, but we're in a raging bull market, and in this type of market, investors get more excited about the prospects and growth. And so maybe Tesla could be looking at new all-time highs in the coming months, if not next year. And there's that little closed-end fund, Destiny Tech 100, that has shares in SpaceX, still trading at a massive premium over its net asset value, which I think is still below $10 a share. Really hope we get the SpaceX IPO in the next couple of years. Could potentially be the biggest IPO of all time. And like I said, I think it'll eventually be worth more than Tesla. With his latest valuation around $250 billion, Tesla a bit over $1 trillion, and just the Starlink business and all the potential services it can offer into space and going to Mars and beyond, I think it's practically unlimited. And just moving on to what else is moving out there today, Texas Pacific Land Corp up over 14% on news. It's going to join the S&P 500. What an absolute rip this has been on lately. And a sector I occasionally touch on here on the channel, land REITs. If you're worried about a resurgence in inflation, land REITs can be a good place to hide out because a lot of these companies buy up farmland, lease it to farmers, and those leases are indexed to inflation. So it's kind of an inflation-protected equity, similar to an inflation-protected bond. Others doing well lately, Farmland Partners, ticker symbol FPI. And on that news today, another similar company, Landbridge, ticker symbol LB, having a pretty nice move there. And look at that bounce back in gold, swiftly reclaiming its 50-day on the rising geopolitical tensions. The Ukraine-Russia war being escalated by the outgoing US administration. Not sure whether they're doing the new president a favor or making potential negotiations a lot more complex. Likely helping to keep a bid in crude oil as well. It too reclaiming its 50-day, $71 a barrel. Also going into the cooler months in the Northern Hemisphere, natty gas pushing up. And your morning cup of joe could be about to go up in price as well. Coffee futures having a strong rip this week. But just moving on to the VIX, we've got a bit of a classic VIX Friday crush. Volatility risk premium 1.6. So option dealers pretty chill at the moment. And the VIX at 15, still a little bit higher than what I thought, given this bullish seasonality. We're past the election. Market seems to be trading on firm footing. So still a little bit of pricing of volatility there, but a rather steep contango in the volatility term structure, which is pretty constructive for the market. And bond yields still trading on firm ground. There's a 2-year, 437, with a 10-year at 440. And high yield bonds just kind of bumping around after pulling back a bit. And the dollar once again marching higher, above 108. The stock market doesn't care about the strong dollar, strong bond yields, threat of nuclear war seems to be defiant of all that. And we've still got China pulling back a bit here as well. But actually having another good day again, Argentina, the best performing international stock market, now up over 60% year to date. With my Argentinian stocks listed in New York, some of my best performers this year. It's incredible what Malay's been doing. Hasn't even been in office a year. Already brought inflation way down, along with capital back to their markets on more investor confidence. But that's pretty much a wrap for the daily market review. Thanks very much for tuning in. And just before I go, I had a customer of mine ask me, am I going to have a Vegas meetup for Swing Alerts members, just like I'm doing for my Stock Picks members? And so I'm hoping I can combine both into one event for both Stock Picks and Swing Alerts members, as I know many of you guys have got both services. So it'll kind of be interesting to see which one of my accounts, the Stock Picks or Swing Alerts, hits $1 million first. And I'm hoping they do around the same time, so I can organize a long weekend for us members where I'll lead us on a bunch of activities. Maybe do some ATV tours out in the desert, maybe some whiskey tasting, no doubt a bunch of gaming, good food, good wine, and maybe you can watch me trying to turn my $2 million into $4 million on the casino tables. And wouldn't that be funny after 10 years of disciplined investing and trading, create $2 million accounts, only to blow it all up in one weekend? I'm just kidding, guys. I'll never do that. I'll probably set myself a $10,000 gambling budget, and normally my strategy when I go to a casino is double or nothing. I either double my budget or I lose it all. Either way, I have a great time, and I hope to have a good time with you guys as well in Vegas. Hopefully sooner than 10 years, but like I said, I'm not going to stop until I trade both these accounts into $1 million US each. And so if you're interested in jumping on board, and like I said, click the link below this video, head on over to my website, clickcapital.io. You can learn all about this new service, and there's 2 different plans available, a monthly and a yearly plan. And like I said, I'm only selling 300 subscriptions to ensure everyone gets a quality service. Latest count before I made this video, 163 spots left. So it's looking likely this is going to sell out in the coming days, and it will be closed to new subscribers. And make sure when you get to the checkout page, click on add promotion code and add the code SWING33, and that'll give you a permanent 33% discount, so you can pay less than $1,000 per year. To get all my nightly alerts before I trade them, along with access to the private members area, monthly performance report, and like I said, hopefully we can all meet up in Vegas in a few years and celebrate the achievements together. That's all for today. Have a great weekend, and I'll be back again on Monday night. Cheers.